What's up, everybody? New year, same sponsors. We're talking about Elite Sports, the only apparel company that's got our merch squaring around. We're talking about ELETE sports.com. They got everything from squaring around. They also sponsor their own athletes. So if you're trying to get some custom merch for your family, you're looking for a good gift, shop EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout to get a nice discount. Tell them the Square Boy sent you. What's up, man? Should you stop our collection too if you're trying to get like a squaring around hoodie, jacket, sweater, hat. We got all that. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE. One of the best things you can have is home field advantage. We have that same thing. Use code SQUARE at checkout, homefield.com. You can shop everywhere. Not really Texas State, but I guarantee you if you buy something and you bother them enough, like I've been doing in the off season, eventually, one day, like a phoenix, we shall rise. Homefield.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout. What's up, everybody? I totally screwed the pooch this weekend. It is so late at night. I'm talking to you at 23:39. It doesn't matter if you're watching the podcast or if you're listening. Also, shout out for doing both. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription. Hit us up, bro. It helps a lot. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. But anyway, I totally screwed the pooch this week because I literally sat down to edit just now and I realized that we didn't do an intro for this episode. Me and Jim will just kind of go into it with Trouty and shout out. Yeah, we're talking to Steve Trout, the head coach of the baseball team this week. And yeah, we just kind of like did just an outro. So we're talking like recruiting on the back half of this. But I wanted to set this up. I love the baseball team. Not gonna lie, they are my Valentine this year. So expecting some big things. I always expect big things out of my guy, Steve Trout. One of my favorite coaches to talk to and catch up on. He's actually the first coach I ever got to like cover, like as soon as he started covering the team. When he took over for Coach Harrington, I think that was in the summer of 2019, if memory serves correctly. So me and him go way back. That's the whole reason I grow this mustache out every year too. It's for baseball. So I've been doing it for that long. So me and him go way back. Such a great dude. I love rooting for him and his Bobcats. So without further ado, here's the interview with Coach Steven Trout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Press. This week, on Valentine's week, I'm talking to the love of my life, Steve Trout, the head coach of the baseball team. Coach, welcome back on the show. Love having you on. Love talking to you. We can talk to you forever. We just talked to you for like 5 minutes beforehand. We can't air any of that. So, but yeah. Welcome back to
all good. No, looking forward to it, and hope everybody has their Valentine's plan to come out to Bobcat Ballpark on Friday. My wife already knows where our date night's going to be, and she'll be on the road with a hot dog and probably a glass of wine, who knows, but cheering on the Bobcats. So here we are back at opening night, so we're ready to roll.
All right, let's start it here. What do you think of Jacob's mustache? He grows it out every single season for your baseball program, Coach. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, right now we probably need to add a little bit to it, but I know where it gets to, so we believe in the process, right? As coaches, it's going to get there. It's going to get there. So, but plus jersey he's wearing down there. So
there you go. Yeah, this is last year's too. And so I always get really excited over like the year because it's like the year player, right? And I just looked up number 25. Who is it? Collier, right?
Ian Collier. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. So it looks like there's a bunch of like Collier fans, or this year, whatever jersey y'all end up doing, but it'll be fun. Right. I got 23, 24. I got to keep buying jerseys now for 25.
There you go. Just send me your credit card information. We'll save it. So.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to start because we see the little slam Marcus in the background. Jacob has been fiending for one of those for a while now.
I know. No.
Looking good. Oh.
I know. I guess
my favorite's the inside, is the cats on the inside. So we guys at Staunch hooked us up. We worked hard on it, trying to figure out different ways of creating a Slam Marcus hat and add some different details to it. And so Kenny and those guys over there, they finally got on, guys are fired up. And actually, it's our hat that when we travel, we don't wear hats when we travel, obviously in the airport, things like that. But if we win a road series, they get to wear the hat back home. Sweet, we'll add some dessert or something else to it. But wearing a hat home is like a big deal to these guys. So we're in this, our team hat.
That's cool. That is so cool.
That's a fun like micro win. You know, like when I was running high school track, my coach would never let us get Whataburger if we lost the meet. He's like, only winners get Whataburger. You got to find like micro wins to like always be competing like that, you know?
Yeah, swag these days. We played one the other day at inter squad, and we were worried about it. And those guys played so hard because they thought they were going to get an extra T-shirt. It was like, this is the way to their heart these days. Extra hat, extra T-shirt, all the above.
And you can't go wrong with a T-shirt. I tell anybody in college will agree. The T-shirt, the free T-shirt, that gets people to show up for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. That and some free food, I'm in. Count me in.
I remember me and Zimmo used to tailgate volleyball games back in school. We used to tailgate all the games. We used to tailgate your guys' games. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I caught like a Sunbelt shirt, and it was awesome. It was the best thing ever at one of those games. So, yeah, no, you're right. Swag speaks to the heart, I think.
It does. It does.
Let's talk inter-squad. How'd it look? You said that it was a good competitive showing?
Yeah, it's been good. I was really proud of, especially on Saturday. We typically just play our inter squads, put them in different teams, and try to make it somewhat even, and just see how they respond. And I thought our energy on Saturday, which was our last inter squad, was one of the best days, and showed me that these guys are just competitive guys. They want to win at just beating their teammates across the way, and just find a way to get that edge one day. But they were getting fired up on double play balls, and so it's been it's a unique team. 27 new guys. You always wonder as a team, as a coach, how they come together, how do they clash personalities, and we work really hard at it. First of all, of spending time and speaking about it and trying to create that culture that we want. But kudos to our guys of how they handle it with us, and obviously without us. I think speaks more important of how much they hang out and eat together and hang out as a team together. And so you can see this team is really gelling. Although it's super competitive on guys winning jobs, offense and on the pitching side, a lot of jobs to be won with just so many newness in our program. But you see, hey, they want to win a job, but they're also really good friends, really good teammates. It's always interesting when like best friends are competing for the same job, how that plays out. And for us, we just keep Bobcats number one in our heart, number one in our mind, and how that plays out. It plays out. But really proud of how they went about their business. And you're going to need that through the year, right? You're not going to stay healthy. You're not going to have guys are going to go in slumps. Their numbers are going to get called at some point in time. And so you got to have them ready. And I'm really proud of this group to this far of how they kind of clash together. And as we call it, become a family. So excited to go to war with them.
Pretty good when it comes to chemistry. Was it quick or did it take a little time?
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. The weird part about how we have to schedule our practices, we do our individual sessions for about 5 or 6 weeks. So there's times where, some pitchers haven't seen a guy hit in a couple of weeks because they come out at a certain time and they're coming out in smaller groups. And then finally we get them out together, do some team stuff. They finally start figuring out what they can do and how good they are and things like that. So it takes a little bit of time just because of that dynamic. But like I said, we spent a lot of time trying to get them to hang out and trying to get them to do things. And I think our returners understood that already and know how we do things around here. And I think they took those new guys under their wings. They knew if we're going to win a championship, we got to have those new guys on board. And so, now we've been with these guys for 7 months now. So it doesn't feel like new guys anymore, just besides I've never written some of these guys' names in the lineup. So here we go.
So you said 27 new. How many returners?
So we have 45 on the roster. So it's 18 returners. So
okay. So you don't have a big brother, big sister program then, because you usually can split it up and be like, all right, hey, every new guy gets a rookie, but no, not anymore.
Yeah, we actually put our guys in what we call like boat crews, and so we have 9 boat crews where it used to be seniors. We didn't have enough seniors to do it this year, but there's 9 groups, about 5 guys, and pretty much we call them accountability partners. And if if one guy misses class, then the other guys have to do his punishment or do his makeup, whatever he has to do that day. And so that way it's funny how they make it on time all the time because they want to let the 4 teammates down. So it's a perfect way of keeping them accountable.
But it's kind of like what Jake upset about the micro wins. Like, that's a micro win. All 4 of my guys showed up. This is great. I'm not having to do extra work.
That's tough. I would have done a lot of homework for Andrew back in the day if that was the case, I think.
You always have to know your weakest link, right? You have to know your weakest link. So I'm not saying you, but you got to know.
Just taking a shot. 2v1 every show, man. 2v1. That's fine. So you mentioned about the hitters and the pitchers, and I can tell you that is you already know. That's a tough one. As a pitcher, you see guys hitting, you go, okay, I can kind of see, and then you get that first scrimmage. Oh, he can hit a curveball now. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Different locations. Do you pick the teams on the scrimmages, or do you have team captains to split it up?
No, besides our World Series, we pick them all. It's all designed by seeing different players play together. One, trying to make it even as good as we can to keep it competitive. And then like this weekend, we did a lot of, shifting, moving guys around. Hey, maybe, these 3 guys need to play together on the infield, or this outfield combination, or this lineup combination, trying to see that. So, but we give them stake in the company in the World Series. So that's pretty fun to get in here and draft guys. And it always blows our mind who they draft in certain rounds. And you start getting their feel a little bit on where they feel like guys fit in, in their rankings, call it. So, that's always fun, because then they can't blame it on us. Well, I didn't get to pick this guy on this roster, and it all comes down to them.
So don't tell us about this year, but like past years, who surprised you? A guy that has gone like a little higher, maybe a little lower than you thought.
Ooh, that's a good question. The one that always gets they don't think in a coach's mind a lot. They just want to take like the best player.
Sure.
So a lot of times they get stuck with like too many infielders, and like. When you're Peyton Lewis as a sophomore or a freshman, I can't remember what year it was, and obviously a great player for us, but at that time he wasn't probably, I think, starting for us. He was our backup. So it probably would have been the 21 season, and he caught all 3 games for the other side. And the other team, I think, had 3 catchers, and so it was like, hey man, like hopefully he doesn't get hurt. If not, we'll have to make a trade of some form. So you always catch up with that sometimes, But then sometimes some guys we think are pretty good get buried at the end. You're like, man, that must be the teammate they don't like, So, but it's always fun to figure out.
That's tough. I was just saying, like, it's weird because we talked a lot about like mental toughness the last time you were on here, I think. But we like when you go up, like for the first time, you're like, oh man, I'm hot, I'm ready to go, and then you get that first pitch, and you're like, what's this? How is this happening?
Yeah, it's called get thrown into the fire, right? That's probably our biggest fear as coaches that we just had our meeting on, but. Yeah, that's the thing with these new guys. We know where some of these guys are going to respond. When that place gets filled up, the lights come on, another team walks in with a different color jersey. We know what to expect from Chase Moore and Ryan Farber and those guys that have been through the battle, Rashawn Galloway. But some of these new guys in our program, we don't know, right? And they might, be the same guy there in inter squads. The hope is they're even better when the lights come on. And then some guys take a step backwards and, kind of press or not as aggressive or whatever it might be. So yeah, the mental game, we still work just as hard on it as we did the first time we talked, and still using our same guy, Brian Kane, who we work with all the time. And so, yeah, we're trying to prepare our guys mentally, physically, emotionally for opening night. But then, yeah, you learn even more about your team, the first weekend or the first week of the season, you start figuring out which guys are trending in what direction.
Cool. How's the pitching staff look?
It's been good. Same thing. A lot of newness, a lot of new guys. It's in big roles, and so I'm really excited about our starting. I think the strength of our staff might be in our numbers, which means I feel like we're deep. Now the goal of a coach is to figure out how to use that to your advantage, right? I think some years you have starters that go 7 innings for you, and you need to cover it with 2 innings. Like in 22. Zeke Wood and Levi Wells, they went 5 to 7 innings, and you hand the ball to Dixon for a couple of outs or maybe an inning, and then you get to Stivers and it's game over, and life's pretty simple. Last year we weren't getting a lot of depth out of our pitching staff, and so we were trying to put those numbers together to lengthen it out. So that'll be kind of by the weekends go. We'll figure out how our staff is doing, but I think we have a lot of firepower coming out of the bullpen. Some guys that could be some bridge guys, a little bit longer relief. I'm really fired up about what we want to call our back 3, our back end guys with Matthew Tippy, Carson Laws, and Bryson Dudley. All those guys are 92 to 95. I know Laws was up to 99 in the fall. Dudley was been up to 97 and been really good. So I feel like we have 3 guys that could possibly close the game. I think we could also see some, you're the 7th, you're the 8th, you're the 9th. Dudley's probably the one that could go multiple inning close, kind of like Stivers could. So we've got some weapons. We've got Braylon Timmons, who's a sidearm lefty that's still 90-92, and it literally starts behind the lefty's head. And so there's a lot of different combinations. We just gotta. It's gonna be the first time I put them in a game for Bobcats. So we'll see how their heart rate changes and how they do when their number's called. And as we tell them, the goal is to not give us the ball back. We give you the ball, go get outs, and we'll hand it to you a lot more times. If you give up a lot of runs, then probably have to wait your turn a little bit. So here we go. But that's the realness of college baseball.
Well, that's why they call them the cardiac cats, right?
That's right. That's right. I love comebacks. I don't want to prepare for the comeback, though, right? Like I'd rather just top of nine, finish the game, let's shake hands and get on with it. I mean, I love a good walk off, but it's not good for the heart. So
no. So baseball, I think, is moving away from the 5 to 7 inning pitcher and going more to like 3 inning chunks. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that's exactly what you got to do a good job. Some teams already designate that. Like I know a team like Old Dominion, they're really big. They call it the pod system. So these guys are available and they're going to go roughly 3-3-3 or whatever it might be. I try to be a little bit more traditional with if we think we have the guys to do that. I think we do that have guys that can go 5 to 7 innings as starters. But I think the beauty of it is when we figure out these guys and how they respond, okay, just give me 5, and I've got a guy that can go 6, 7, and these guys to close it out. And so it's all depends on how they do. But I definitely think we actually in the middle of last year's season, when we were struggling and not getting those innings, we actually changed to kind of the opener. So we actually started throwing some guys as the opener. We knew they were just going to go maybe the first inning, maybe 2 innings if they had a great one, and then go to our starter and try to go innings 3 through 7, 3 through 8, where that was their second time in the lineup was the first time actually seeing our true starter. I thought it helped some, and then it gave some guys some different roles and maybe some less pressure roles to begin with. And so as a coach, you got to keep adjusting to try to figure out, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But our game plan is to go in traditional, but I think our strength is by our numbers.
Now, that might mess with a starting pitcher's head a little bit if you think, all right, hey, I'm going to be the starter, but actually there's a guy that's going to pitch 2 innings before me. Did you see any of that like mess with any of your guys, or were they very much like, oh, yeah, I know this makes sense. We'll take your word for it. We'll trust you, coach?
Yeah, I think the biggest key was just difference in their warm-up because they're used to being able to go out there for 15 minutes before the game and stretch and long toss and get all the throwing they want to in. When you come out of the pen, you don't get that long toss before the game, and you have some time to rest. So that was probably the biggest adjustment. But we didn't see any bounce back on, hey, that's a bad idea, because where our record was and where their numbers were, they were like, yeah, something's got to change. Right?
Well, see, and I didn't want to go there. I didn't really want to go there, but it was like, sometimes push comes to shove, and you got to come up with something, and it takes a little creativity to make something work.
Yeah, but no, I thought those guys believed in it. I thought got us into a better path. With our pitching side, actually, some of the guys that weren't starters for us and we thought couldn't start actually became starters for us and started doing some good things. And then, like I said, there were some games where we put a guy in the 4th inning. He was a starter. He could finish the whole game. And so, cut the game up into 2s. And I think it's a lot of mindset. But, yeah, the biggest thing was just how they warmed up and how they got going. So, but, I think that's everything. Sometimes you got to do that on offense too. Hey, we're a team that like to hit homers and doubles, but we're not doing that. So we got to go to some small ball and steal some bags, and you got to believe in it. So I think that's the goal of a coach is to be well-rounded, but you got to make them believe in it, because if they don't believe in it, you got no shot. So hopefully our guys did that. And I feel like last year they did a good job of believing in it. But I think we were all to the point where, yeah, something's got to give here. We got to do something different. If not, we're going to continue on this path. So,
well, you talk about that like identity shift, like we talked about Slam Marcos. We talked about Slam Marcos, I think, the first time you came on here too. But I think there was a time like last year where you were like, I wish we would just get on base, frankly. Like, I don't care how, like we just need to get on base.
Yeah, and I think with this team coming up, it's interesting because our fall was some really tough, grinded out at bats. We can run. And so I would say everybody's a burner, but everybody can run good in our lineup. And so you kind of like it because if the wind's blowing in or if something's going on, we're not hitting the home runs. Like we don't have to live and die by it. But I do think, and it's shown up since the weather got warm last week and the ball started flying out, we were hitting a lot of homers. So I think we have the ability to do that, but I also think we have the ability to be the team that can grind it out, steal bags, put some pressure on you. Hit a ground ball, you better get rid of it because our guys are getting down the line. More importantly, we're going to grind out bats to where you got to put away pitches on us to get us out. And so that's what they've shown to this point. So we were changing our name, 3 weeks ago to Speed Marcus instead of Slam Marcus. So, but we'll get something and wipe over it, figuring out how we're going to win games. So, but as long as we go with the dub, I don't care how it looks. So that's just find a way to get it done.
Solid single Marcus doesn't have much of a ring to it. Too many syllables.
I totally agree.
No,
Suicide Marcus doesn't. Yeah.
Slam Marcos is still so sexy, so you got to put it on hats and shirts and everything. But
I'm telling you, it's a forgotten commercial, but chicks dig the long ball. You remember that commercial with the Braves? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We need to run those back. Actually, you know what? Where's the pitching staff? I have a camera. We can remake that commercial. What's going on here?
We can do it. We can do it. The good news is we got Mr. Austin Eaton who's been swinging it really well too. So we have a pitcher that's also hitting for us now. So, so we get both sides of it. So
there you go. We can do this. I think Jacob, we got the camera. We got.
All right. Yeah. Just tell me.
I have an idea.
Let's get the mustache like 2 more weeks, and then we'll
no. This is 1 week of growth so far.
Yeah.
So this is my weekly check-in, and then we're recording this on a Monday, so everybody's going to be like, "Wow, Jacob can't grow a mustache anymore." Well, hey,
I've seen it. It's really solid. So.
Hashtag trust the process.
I keep sending him the Hims commercials. We'll see what happens.
Did I get the beard oil on this thing? I start combing it out. Hey.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
all the thing, and then the football team gets jealous too. Now they're like, "Oh, no mustache for us? No, it's for Trouty."
I actually grew a beard out last season. I've grown it out a couple times, but I'm usually a clean shaven guy. They asked me for the stash. I'm like, you don't want that. That's not going to be a good look. So know your role.
Know your role. Well, I saw you running around last year. What was it, at the Dell Diamond? And I was like, wow, Trouty's lost a ton of weight. Did you lose a bunch of weight? Are you stacked? You're like Jack now.
I lost about it was close to 40 pounds. So I blame it all on my wife. So after her second child, she got locked. We called it locked in eating, and I finally got through the season. I was looking at her and looking at myself, going, she looks so much better than me, which she always does. But I was like, this isn't a good look for me. So I had to lock in the food and get locked in eating, and obviously feel way better. So yeah.
Shout out, good for you, man.
I saw you running around. And I was like, who's this young assistant running around over here?
No, the best part was when we played the Round Rock tournament. They did a phenomenal job with all the hospitality. We checked in the hotel, and it was like, welcome Bobcats to the Round Rock Classic. Well, they had a picture of myself, but as we called it, Fat Trout. It was a picture of that, and so I took a picture of the before and after, and every player was like, "Coach, I don't remember you looking like that." I was like, "Yeah, I wear a trash bag over me every day, so I was protecting myself." So so it's good. I'm not sure guys to work out. I got to get locked in as well too. So
I never remember you being fat. I just remember you being you were just jacked. I just remember you were big baseball guy when you were.
I hit it well.
To be the head coach.
It was a good hide. Hide.
He went from trout to big tuna.
Big tuna. There you go.
Yeah, had to get down. Speaking of young assistants, David Pierce on this coaching staff. What's that been like for you?
It's been awesome, man. I think 2-part to it. I think one. And he'll admit to it. It's been some very weird days for him. Not just wearing maroon and gold now, which he's decked out every day, which is awesome. But I think just obviously when you've been a head coach and obviously at a place like Texas for that long, and then now you step into now his role and where he just pretty much helps out the entire staff and everything. It's been different for him, but I feel like our staff has been open arms. As I told people the day we hired him, my job is to make our program the best we can be, and adding him in with his practice ideas, his thoughts, everything that he brings to the table, winning aspect. It's been awesome for our program to have him. It's been awesome for our coaches just to have him in meetings and talking about different ideas, because the guy, all he's done for his entire career is win. And so for us, that's something of bringing, new drills to the table or new ideas or new thoughts. And it's been fantastic. So, I think still some unfamiliarity of just on game day he's like, what do you want me to do on game day? I'm like, just help us in whatever way you can. I think the beauty of what Coach Pierce does, and people don't realize this, is he's literally coached it all. And so he started, with Coach Graham at Rice and obviously learned from a legend from him from a lot of different aspects, but he's been a hitting coach, a pitching coach, obviously a head coach. And so he knows everything about every area of the game. And so it's pretty fun to watch him, go to work on helping us out in our different positions on new ideas and new creativity. And as coaches, I think you got to continue to have changes. And so you bring a new drill to the table. It's pretty good. And so and he's going to help us throughout the year, continue to help us find ways to win baseball games.
How'd that initial conversation go?
Yeah, it was interesting. So my third assistant job was open. Coach Cervantes went to Arkansas State, and so I was talking to a bunch of people, kind of knew what I was after and was trying to find the right fit, had a list of a lot of different guys, and actually was really originally calling him to ask me about a couple of guys that had worked for him before. But in that conversation, I just point blank, hey man, how are you doing? Like, I've never been in your shoes. Hopefully, I don't get fired, right? And so I'm like, come on, but I think people forget that we're also human sometimes, right? And David's been nothing but great to me. We weren't close before, but just through playing each other in all those fun games with Texas, he was always very respectful to me. And obviously, I had a ton of respect for him and what he did in his entire career and the way he did it, going to Sam and then Tulane and then Texas, and just knowing he was a great baseball guy. But like I said, ultimate respect and just how he treated me throughout the years in our conversations. And so I was just checked on it. Hey man, like people probably haven't been checking on you of, what's next for you. How are you doing? Like, just the genuine side of it. And I think he appreciated that because I don't know how many people had been checking in on him. And I think and then we just kind of started talking about, what his plan was. You might have take off a year and it just kind of snowballed. And so eventually it just worked out to where, we were able to kind of create a position for him. And so that was awesome. And then it started working out. And so, yeah, here we are to this day.
Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to work because I didn't know if it was like 6 degrees of separation between you and then Coach Harrington and then him. And so that's interesting because I was curious when that hiring was announced, how that all worked out. Because I didn't know how close you guys were, how close he was to Texas State even, or Central Texas at all.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that was the beauty of him was, he has his house in Austin and he was close. So it had to be somewhat local, I think, for him to pull this off. And then want to be a part of a staff that I think he believed in as well and trusted. And that was the biggest thing for us. And so, like I told him, we had a lot of conversation about, his role and what it looked like. And he was really adamant on a few things of understanding, like, hey, I'm not trying to come in and, be the next pitching coach or be the next head coach. Or I just want to be around people that love baseball and they're good people. And hopefully, as much as we learned from him, hopefully there's things he's learned of how we do things with our players and things like that. Maybe in his next job, whatever that might be, maybe he takes some things to them and go, yeah, that's a cool way to be because he's, my staff's really good to our players and of how we treat them and how do we treat each other as well. I think there's some cool things that, we do with our team and as our coaching staff, and it's one big family around here. So I think hopefully we've given him some ideas too that he can add into his playbook as well.
We talk about like some of the biggest recruiting advantages for like coaches, players, and this like portal world and just everything that happens, right? When you have to recruit a staff and players. But like good vibes, I feel like is the biggest selling point for San Marcos, like across the board, usually,
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I tell people all the time, like our job as coaches in game is to remain positive and remain cool and keep that confidence in our guys because they're going to look towards us all the time. And we tell our guys, like, as part of kind of the mental toughness piece is when something bad happens to us, like if they put a camera in our dugout, you're going to see, us coaches keeping it together and being positive and trying to move to the next moment because, if we look like, our season's over, the game's over, then there's no chance our guys are going to come back. And so, I mean, there's a couple of times I got to get animated and throw some stuff and maybe break some helmets and things like that, or clipboard as they like to call what Coach Trout does. But outside of that, it's a cool group to go to work with, and our players know we have their best interest, and they know that we're their biggest cheerleaders. And so we were actually talking about today about where do we want to stand, like in the dugout, from the offense, defense, and I was like, guys, I'll stand on top of the dugouts and cheer the whole time if that means we're going to win. So I don't care. So let's just be the best cheerleaders for our guys, put them in the best position, and more importantly, let's go win some baseball games.
So do you buy into any of the preseason rankings? Is that bulletin board material getting picked 8th?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So I tell people in 22 we were picked 7th with not one guy on the all-conference team. And so the underdog role is it's not one you always want to be in, right? Because those polls literally come from the year before, and probably they look at some of the people you lost. Down year, lost 18 seniors, lost some key pieces. So, as I told our guys in 22, I told them again the other day, I couldn't be more fired up to prove this poll wrong. And just like 22, obviously set the school record for wins and had the player of the year and a bunch of accolades at the end of the year when they matter most. So we already had fuel and motivated every day with a lot of different things going on with the newness and last year. But that's just another one to go, yep, let's go prove the rest of them wrong.
Well, coaches
See,
tell us all the
is,
time that they'd rather get picked lower, like it's less to live up to. Is like
sure.
GJ and them got picked first in the West, and then not that they didn't do well, but it was a lot to live up to on top of all the hype that they had in completely, like it's kind of a lot.
It's definitely a different strategy on both sides of it, right? You gotta be the team when you're the one hunted. You got to create the identity and go with that one as well, and embrace the target on your back when you're the underdog. It's easier to coach because you're like, yeah, I mean, we got nothing to lose. I don't feel like we're in that position with our program, but with obviously getting picked, I'm going to do everything possible to motivate these guys. And so just to remind them, at a random Wednesday practice, hey man, like this isn't our day off because remember this is where they picked us, or this was our record, or they picked this guy to be a better player than you, or so you use those rankings in both ways. I also use it as, notice like when a guy gets, ranked somewhere or we get ranked somewhere, I let our guys and congratulate them because I think, they put a lot of time and effort in. So, our goal is to use it for fire however we can.
And I think too, like when it's media polls, I don't really buy into it because I know the members of the media that vote on those things and they're not very smart. But it's a coach's poll. You know what I mean? So it's like you look across at the dime and you go like, hey, guy in that dugout doesn't believe in you guys. Like, let's prove him wrong. It feels different, a different type of motivation,
For sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's the beauty of it. And so for us, I mean, the one thing about the Sun Belt, and we were talking about that earlier, it's such a deep league, man. It's with the additions we've added in, but even teams that haven't been as successful, you got Marshall that just opened up a $25-30 million stadium. Arkansas State, where Coach Cervantes with, and Coach Silva, who was the assistant here, a ton of respect for. They just completely re-turfed their stadium and putting in all this money in. Everybody's using, these resources to their favor, and that's why it's so tough. And these coaches are coaching harder than ever. So to me, it's every year, it's every weekend, every game. You better bring it. If not, you're going to get beat no matter who you're playing. So that's the beauty of the Sun Belt. And that's why we're a top 5 league in the country. And it's tough. So if you're injured or if you're not playing your best, then buckle up. It's going to be a long ride.
Well, it's like we added Coastal Carolina the year after they won the national championship. And I remember going to the Texas State Coastal game. And I think Texas State won one of those games that first year in that home series. But I remember telling my parents, I was like, no, this is like the best league in the country right now. Like this is one of the, the national champions are playing here. Louisiana's good. Texas State's always good. So it's not a conference you can sleep on. And if you jump on ESPN Plus and you have a Sunbelt game that's on, you jump on, you watch it because you could see a future MLB pitcher or hitter. It's good teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I was part of that game against Coastal. We walked them off in 14. Ryan Newman hit a home run to win it in 14, and then we ended up winning the series that weekend as well. So fun times. And so, but yeah, you're exactly right. You better bring it. And I think that's probably the shift of the portal a little bit. Can you lose players to the portal? Yes, but you can also pick up players from the portal. And it's even going to get worse next year because everybody's roster is getting cut down to 34. So it's a whole change in the landscape in college baseball. So every level, even going down to, junior college is more talented now than ever because of that, and D2 and D3 and NAIA. So it's definitely an effect of the rule changes, and it's just going to continue on as our rosters continue to get cut.
So you mentioned the JUCO. Did the JUCO rule change anything for you, like when it comes to scouting or transfer portal or recruiting?
Yeah. So I mean, right now, it's every day is a new day, right? So new rules can come up at any point in time. As of right now, all they've done for us is if you would be graduating this year and you still had, and used one of those years in junior college, we actually have 3 guys on our team right now that could possibly get a 5th year next year. That's to this date. Now I could see it opening up everything, and anybody that played junior college gets those years back. Right now, that's not the case. But as you see more probably lawsuits, I know a kid that's playing at Tennessee just got, I believe it was a 6th year as well to go play again, but I think there was some stuff in the court. So yeah, we've got 3 guys that, could possibly come back next year and do a 5th year. And, but
Victory Lab.
They didn't use a red shirt in one of those years. And so they have it available to use for next year if they want to.
Because that was the sport that I thought would be affected the most by that JUCO rule was baseball because of how many guys go the JUCO route and then go to Division One.
Yeah, I might 2 more years to go play myself, so I might strap them back on. A little player coach action. So
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind. Would you do the stirrups or would you do the long pants?
Question. I played mainly pants up. I usually go pants down now, so probably which ones gave me more hits is what I would do. So
okay, smart,
superstitious,
smart. That's funny.
Superstitious. Interesting. I'm a superstitious person myself. Somebody on this podcast is not a superstitious person. So you're superstitious. I'm superstitious. Who could be not in that camp? Interesting.
Go back to 2v1. What's up? Why are you so into this bit?
But mine's more. It's funny as my daughter's in gymnastics now, and she's starting to get that way. Like I need to wear this and I need to wear that. I was like. I try to preach to her. It doesn't matter. But I was teaching her superstitions in baseball, like guys not, washing their sliders all year or wearing the same undershirt or whatever gross things we do because he thinks it helps us. She's like, does it really help? I'm like, no, it really doesn't help. But mentally, as long as you're in the good frame of mind,
yes.
You're good.
That's true. I guess, you know what? I'm running a marathon this weekend in Austin, the Austin Marathon, and I have to get new shoes. Like I always buy new shoes, and I only have like between 7 and 10 miles on them before I do something like that, like for a real race. So I guess that's the superstition of mine. But it's also just practical. So I don't know.
I'm not kidding you. I have to have a T-shirt that I like that fits well. There's a different brand. Home Field has them. Target has these type of shirts that are almost like I don't know. They're almost like athletic fit. I can't do a good radio show if I'm not wearing one of those shirts. If I wear I'm not kidding. If I wear like a collared shirt, I feel like I'm strangled on air. I have to have like a T-shirt under whatever I'm wearing. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right.
Mine's probably just my routine. But if it gets thrown off, it's okay. But I like to kind of do the same thing on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. I don't get caught up like eating the same thing. It's not to that extent, but sometimes in game, if I'm standing somewhere and we get a couple outs, I might stand there just on the same one. Actually, I take it back. Worst one for me is coaching third base. If I'm standing in a spot and we get a hit, I catch myself going back to that spot over and over again, or moving to the front of the box, back of the box deep. Like I kind of move around and see what happens. So, there's some small ones out there, but.
So yesterday we were watching the Super Bowl and Jacob was sitting to my right. And at one point, I did think about asking him to switch me seats because I was like, it's not working. It's 17-0. We got to change something up. We didn't change anything up. It got a lot worse. So, in hindsight, kind of my fault. Think if I moved seats on the couch, could have had a different result.
I mean, I say I'm not superstition, but I'm literally growing out a mustache for the baseball team as I do every year. So,
There you go. See?
Yeah.
Is that tradition or superstitious? So
that's the tradition, I guess. Yeah.
There you go.
That is definitely more traditional because it started when you became the head coach.
Could be superstitious, could be the same.
Yeah.
So.
When
did you grow out in 2020? Did you grow out one out in 2020?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well,
but I had I looked like a hot sauce bottle character because I had this and I had this too. I kind of look like Ty Harrington a little bit. He's got the goatee going.
Coach Blakely's the worst on our staff because he literally will shave depending on how we did the weekend before. So he'll go from like full beard to all of a sudden like goatee or mustache, and then it's clean shaven. It's like you can tell just if he keeps the same facial hair all year long, we're having a really good year. So
there you go. All right.
Keep up with
who do we need to watch out for this season, Coach?
Everybody.
All right, cool.
Whoa. I like that answer though.
What a take! What a take!
That's fire.
It's fun, man. I hit the three relievers on the backside of our bullpen, which is really good. I think some arms that you're going to see in some form of the starting rotation. Jackson Tier is a kid that transferred in from Trinity University, and he's in his last year. And so his dad and brother, dad went to school here, his brother goes to school here now, and so he's really good. So he'll probably be our Friday night guy. Really, really good slider, and so he's got a chance to be really good. Sammy Hall, who was with us last year, and Austin Eaton are two other guys that have been really good. And then Jesus Tovar, who transferred in from New Mexico Junior College. Then Alex Valentine, who's from Florida. Two other lefty arms that have a chance to help us out a ton as we go on the pitching. And there's obviously multiple guys, but those are some newer faces and some returners. Offensively, Moore, Farber, Galloway. That's some key returners. I'm really excited to kind of see that sophomore class. I think that's kind of a swing class for us that Farber's in, but Ethan Ferris, Samson Pugh. I think those guys are some guys that have been playing really well, and I'm really hoping it transitions as we go along. And those are some guys that have kind of taken that next step so far, but really excited for them. But then you hit some guys like, Rocco Garza-Gregoria, who came from Oklahoma, Alan Shibley from Washington State, Justin Vossas from Texas A&M. He'll be out for a little while with a thumb issue, but he'll be back in there. I think those guys are fun to watch. And so, and then we got some freshmen that they're going to get their chances and how they do. But Zach Gingrich might have more power than anybody on our team. He's hit 4 home runs this spring, hit one over the batter's eye the other day. And so he's a monster. And then Dawson Park might be one of the best infielders we've had in our program skill wise. And so really excited to watch him, transition with Moore and Farber and some of those guys and fit in. And they're going to get their chances. How they do with it depends on how more they get to play. And so, but yeah, definitely some names to throw at you. But there's more too. So I feel like we're deep, and which I feel like at this time you always feel like you're deep. But it's been fun to watch. And so we've had some small injuries where we should get everybody back. But we look at our depth and go, okay, we had those guys to fill in. Guys like Coy DeFury's coming from Blinn, who won a national championship. So we're excited for some of those guys to step in and see what they can do as a Bobcat.
I feel like you're like the closest thing we have to like a Jedi as far as like coaches we talk to. Like you're never really down, you're never really out. You're always preparing for the next duel. After last season, as you were walking through the desert of Tatooine, what were your thoughts, Like
Yeah, I mean, it's one, you look back just kind of like you do in different years, you figure out what went wrong, what went right. What personnel do we need to change, what teaching, coaching, mental game, culture wise. I mean, you gotta every year you have to do it. And I think with this new year, you're going to have new guys in your program. I think, we've had anywhere from 18 to now 27 new guys. It seems like the last 3 years. And so you're steadily trying to reteach and identify your culture. But, it's a long summer. It's been a long time since we walked off the field at Southern Miss and, getting ready for this Friday. And so it's been a lot of hard work by the staff of making this team the best we can and, trying to, get them in the right direction on the field, off the field, all the above. So there's been a lot of dynamic, but yeah, I mean, I think for me, you say, I try to stay pretty, we call it neutral. I try to stay as neutral as I can, not too high, not too low. Because I know you're a couple injuries away from not being as good as you want to be. And you're a couple of, I say luck or running into some baseballs to things going your way. And so for us, we try not to ride the wave. We try to be as neutral as we can, but very, very positive in our program. I don't like negative people. I actually hate negative people. They just bring the mood down all the time. So I want to think positive, and that's through injury, that's through losses, that's through whatever. And so we're trying to be positive with our guys all the time. And so if we feel that way, if we live like that, hopefully that bleeds into our program and bleeds into our guys.
Sweet.
Hate negative people. That's why you love me. Kind of hit or miss on Andrew. I appreciate that.
The Spurs hat's not doing a lot for me, but but I like Wemby, I like Popovich. So I say I don't hate any team, so I've got respect for the Spurs. But unfortunately, I'm now a Mavs fan. I'm actually excited.
So
man, let's do 2 weeks in a row. Last week we talked to Drew Donnelly, who's from the Dallas area, so we got his reaction to the Luka trade. What do you think, Trout?
I was crushed. Me and my father-in-law are huge Mavs fans. We actually luckily got to go to a game over Christmas. They live in the Dallas area and went to a game and got to watch Luka play. And I think like a coach and a recruiting coordinator with the GM for the Mavs, at first I'm like, what are we doing? He's our favorite player. Like, it's different. There's got to be a good method to it. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. They did win their first game against the Celtics and AD got hurt. And so we'll see what happens. But you just got to believe in your people, right? And maybe they see something we don't see from the outside. So I don't want people to judge me all the time. So I'm not going to judge them. And
wow,
and we'll see where the results lie.
The Jedi.
What a
Jedi
answer that is. I was wondering, I was like, why am I taking a shot here with this hat? I'm like, I'm just trying to make sure people don't look at my bald spot. What is going on here? I'm just taking.
It looks good. I just had to bring that up.
Thanks, buddy.
It'll look better with the Slam Marcos hat.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Solid single Marcus. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, sweet, Trouty. We love catching up with you. We could talk to you all day, but we'll let you get back to plotting out your next dub.
There we go. Yep, it's gonna be fun. Friday night, 6 o'clock, all weekend long. hopefully the weather stays warm. I have it's gonna be a little chilly, but that's okay too. But no, man, I appreciate what all y'all do. It's fun to. I try to listen as much as I can and watch your shows. Are fun, and so it's a good time. So I appreciate you having me on.
I love Coach Trout so much. It's not even funny. Like this isn't a meme anymore. This is my legitimate feelings. I love Steven Trout.
I genuinely think the more stick and ball players we have on the pod, every single time it's like, we like Jake. What's that guy Zimmel doing on the pod? Like, I got the vibe last year when it was Sarah and Jess, and then Trouty this year. Moore was the last one that we had on the pod that was like, genuinely, I was like, I think that guy likes me. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Dude, well, okay.
Hefty lefty does not play with these guys.
If you had to pick like the teams that like would have your back, like
none of them, zero.
I feel like softball and women's basketball got you, no? Track and field. I think women love me. I think
women's basketball. I think football likes me more than
baseball team. Football for sure is mine.
So you're picking them?
We'll split. I was gonna say. I think we're on really good terms with football.
Yeah, not the football team, the players. Not so much the SID, maybe.
Shout out, Lindsay. No, I think we're on good terms with everybody.
Who has ducked us the most?
Oh, basketball for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So that one's probably last.
And I would say, like, I would count that on my list. Like, I think, like, if they were like, we're gonna end squaring around, who has their back, and like they all have to do like the I'm squaring around thing,
I would say, okay, if that's the case, if we're grouped together, if that's the case, women's basketball, baseball, softball, 1,000%. Football, track and field. Nah, I don't know if they get a vote at that table. Let's say they do. So track and field. I don't think football's sticking their neck out for us.
Cheerleading hates you.
Yeah, look, put the photo up.
Again, yeah, second time this week.
You can see me in the background here. We got Snow and we got Jake, and there's me covered by a cheerleader. I'm just saying, at some point when we're doing like the, where's Waldo of Andrew Zimmel's career, these photos will be used. Circle a little green hat. Look at there he is right there. It's like, What are we doing? So anyway, no, Trouty was great. Gave us good breakdown. Texas State baseball picked 8th this season in the preseason.
Kind of insulting, but they also didn't make the conference tournament last year. So
I think that the conference tournament for sure is like a benchmark for this team this year, and I think winning the conference is it's not an easy thing to do. I give them a little bit more grace than I give men's and women's basketball because their conference, they're good, but nobody's ever said that the Sun Belt is like an incredibly deep basketball conference. Yeah. Baseball and softball are incredibly deep. So if you win the conference, like softball did last year, like baseball's tried to do this year, it's a real step. That's a real step for a program. So this will be a very difficult year. The rest of the conference is really good too. Southern Miss is really good. Southern Miss is really good. GMU is really good. Coastal Carolina is really good. So Louisiana is really good. So we'll see how that goes.
I was trying to remember like how ugly last year got. So I just looked at their schedule from last year and I'm like, oof, yikes, spikes. They finished 27-29 overall last year. And you can really kind of like see like where the season kind of went. It was like we gave Texas our everything and then like lost 2 straight against ULM, beat UIW, won 1 game against South Al, but lost that series, beat UIW again.
It felt like win 1, lose 2.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of that for sure. Beat up Old Dominion, won the series against Troy, lose to McNeese, lose in Hattiesburg. Not great.
No, not great. But
a lot of late season losses.
Yeah, and that was a testament for this, or that was a real benchmark for this team. Hopefully we get better. Hopefully things bounce back, and I'm looking forward to watching games on ESPN Plus. And I'm gonna try to get to it. Are we gonna try to go next week?
Next week? Where do they play next week? Because I can't do this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them for opening day, but I know I can't because it's. They play, by the way, if everybody listening to the podcast, they play Friday at 6 p.m. in sunny San Marcos.
February 21st, they play Illinois, 6 p.m.
That actually might be fun, but I work Friday nights. So I might make the Saturday game.
2:30.
2:30? Who says no? A little
Who says
afternoon.
no?
Little afternoon, San Marcos.
Now, riddle me this, Batman. What are you doing Tuesday the 25th?
What the work, bro? What do you mean?
We could go to College Station.
That'd be fun.
That
That's the only game that they play too. I
mhm.
don't think they get a home and home. The same thing with UTSA. I don't think it's a home and home either. Oh yeah, they do. Never mind.
College Station is only 3 hours away from here. So if
Yo, no way. They play UTRGV this year. My cousin's on a pitcher for UTRGV this year, so I gotta go to Edinburgh for that one. That's a Tuesday game in May. Ooh,
it's
might make
two
it.
and a half. It's 2.5 hours to get to College Station from here. So if I left, what time? 8:30.
Maybe we get our intern.
That's work at 11.
They're out there squaring around credential.
Yeah, could be the move. Could be the move.
Nepo baby Ryan Zimmel.
Our favorite Nepo baby, for sure. He's a good reporter.
Oh, before,
all right.
Because we're just like rambling about baseball, but I did want to mention like signing day stuff, and then I'll insert some like videos from the signing day presser that GJ had. As far as like total signees, the football team has signed 45 dudes to roll up into San Marcos. They signed 18 on early signing day. That was like in the season basically. National signing day, December 4th, they signed 25, and on February 5th, they've signed 2 people. So that's before the next like portal date, basically. Oh, you like it? Look, that's me.
That's not me. That's not me, folks. I just want to put that out there. It's not me.
I don't think too many people follow me my Instagram on here. You can if you want to, at Jacob RYROD on Instagram. Shout out, self plug. But anyway, on signing day, thank you for that up. I was just saying that we have like 45 guys, so it's less than GJ's like total transfer portal. He talked a lot about like like his first year he brought like what 51, 53 dudes. This year he has like I think 18-ish guys from high school. Then he's got a lot of portal dudes. Then he's got some some Island of Misfit toys that he's brought into San Marcos to fill some holes from last year. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. We see there's some guys that make you go, whoo.
Yeah, I think for us, especially this year, especially being year 3 and kind of doing a deep dive of first 2 years and good, bad, guys that really, really love football. I think that was number one. And then, kids that are academically, that are doing really well academically, that's important to them. I mean, you saw that in the high, especially the high school kids, guys that were either committed to Rice or committed to Tulsa and we're able to get over here. So I think getting smart, tough guys that love football was something that was really important to us, moving forward. Yep.
I'm taking the Jacob Rodriguez approach of this, and until they're on campus, I'm not getting super thrilled. Yeah. I'm not.
That's why I really didn't even really feel like mentioning it.
The deal too about signing day is that now that it is like later in the year, or early, I should say earlier in the year, that it's harder for me to like keep up with it because it's like I'm keeping up with basketball and baseball, and National Signing Day doesn't really move me the way that it used to. And also, Kenny has not developed any high schoolers, so why am I buying him? Seems like these are guys that you'll have on the roster for 2 years, and then they'll be playing somewhere else in 2 years. So.
What do you feel about Senor Brad Jackson? Because now we got a couple transfer quarterbacks coming in. Got Brad, obviously. GJ says
I think he needs to put. I think whatever he is doing in practice, in the weight room, in the team rooms, needs to be better. Because if he really was a guy that they were putting stock in, and maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe Kenny will tell me I'm wrong when we talk to him before the season. But if you are really a guy who's like a leader on the team and doing everything you need to be doing, your coaches wouldn't continue to recruit players at your position. That's just my take, at least. Like running back, wide receiver, defensive end, all positions that have dealt with like injuries. And then if you're having a bad game, you can fit somebody in there. You want to be like very deep at those positions. Quarterback is a position that you have one, and then the spare part either needs to be a guy who's learning the job or a guy who's genuinely mostly there to teach other guys. And Brad Jackson's a young quarterback. And you would think that he'd be better at like leading this team and like higher on the depth chart if he really was a guy that Coach Steph believed in. That's at least my point now in early February. What my take is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would just feel like that they need to either decide. They need to decide what they want to do with it. If he's going to be a guy who's scout team quarterback and doing everything else like that, that's fine. And you don't need to tell us. Don't tell the media. Don't tell the fans. But I'm going to talk about him as if he's a scout team quarterback. Because right now, it looks like he's not going to be QB1 on the depth chart come spring game.
He was run option quarterback at best. And even those, I don't know, it felt like he did the job for sure. By the way, of those 45 signees, commits, whatever, 30 of those are going to be early enrollees, which is kind of like the sneaky part of this. This is like, ooh, they're going to be on campus for the spring game. To me, like, as soon as you get on campus, like, that is the quickest you could also be like, I'm going to hit the portal as soon as that opens again, too.
Do you think? But
so it's kind of a double-edged sword to that. If you
but
feel
if they're
like you're not
early
gonna get the reps into the summertime, you know what I'm saying?
If they're early enrollees, I think they're going to be here at least a year, and then they'll get redshirted.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of those are high school, some of those are not. So I know.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and GJ said that that's kind of like what they're looking at the most is like identifying who can be an early enrollee, whether it's from high school or not. Because obviously from high school, you have to. It's a different requirement than transferring in from, you know. So that's the thing.
I think moving forward, I think that's going to be something that we put a I don't even know the word for, but we're going to really try to target those guys that can enroll early because it's so important for us now with the transfer portal and roster management and all that, like getting these guys here in the spring to start that development process, like a Blake Isbell that got here from Coppell, and his like he's going to have a chance to play because he's here in the spring. Like that's so important now, and knowing if the guy's going to be here or not, and so we're going to target that more. And even if a kid maybe wasn't planning on that, like you get them committed in June, like, hey, man, we want you to graduate early. Like, do everything possible to graduate early so we can get you here. And obviously, okay, coach, I'm going to enjoy my senior year. I want to play baseball, whatever. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not going to hurt them. But at the same time, it really does. It's beneficial to both parties if they can graduate early, I think.
Brad Jackson, you guys will remember, was an early enrollee from out of S.A. Reagan. And so he went from playing high school football basically to being into the spring, and then went back for his like prom or something, and then came back.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't skip his prom though.
No, didn't skip his prom.
Do you need to get the Guardian sign off on that if you're an early enrollee, or do you get to go to your senior prom?
Well, because I guess you just reclassify yourself as whatever, but you have to have the credits, you know.
So you're not a senior in high school anymore. You're a freshman in college at that point. Mm-hmm. So you probably need to get the signing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Glad I never had to deal with that.
No. Me either. Yeah. I was so far off from that. Is there anything else to really report on? I'm excited for baseball. We'll talk to softball next week, hopefully.
I think prom is a waste of time.
What the heck? Back on prom?
Any other thoughts? Not a prom guy.
No,
not a prom guy.
I went to prom twice, my freshman year and my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I got taken by a senior my freshman year, and then my senior year I went obviously because I was a senior.
Yeah.
Didn't go to junior prom. Me and my theater kid friend. This is the nerdiest thing. My theater kid friends went to the park and we danced around. It was very high school movie-esque. I know a lot of you probably stopped listening to the podcast right now. Hey.
I unsubscribed.
My bad.
I went junior or senior year. I don't think Ryan went either year. I don't think Ryan went to his prom at all.
Your brother's a freaking loser. He didn't go senior year prom.
Or did he zag so hard that it's actually a win? And he was like, this is lame.
I think he zagged so hard he's on the wrong side of history. Like he's going to look back at memories.
Maybe.
And be like,
but now he's the youngest Nepo baby at Texas A&M for journalism. So,
that's true.
So
it's crazy. I don't know if anybody in your family has like approached you about like, oh yeah, he's thinking about journalism. But like when anybody in my family approaches me, I'm like, don't do it. Get out while you still can. Go be good at math. Don't follow my footsteps. It's not worth it.
All the time. People ask me, okay, so not family members, no, but like friends of family and stuff will be like, hey, my kid's thinking about starting a podcast. I'm like, they need a guest, let me know. Otherwise, books $14.99 on Amazon.
Dude, shout out University Star resurrecting the podcast page. Did you see that? The Star Sports podcast.
Have you listened to any of them yet?
I listened to their first one. They were talking. They did like a softball preview, which feel like stepping on our toes. That's our team, huh?
Nah, I was unmoved.
You're unmoved. You listened to it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Unmoved.
I get
This
that.
the
Bulletin
sports
board
editor.
material for Andrew.
Yeah. The sports editor followed me on Twitter.
Sounded good though.
Huh?
Sounded good. Like their quality is good.
Oh, the audio quality was great, but like if you're not saying anything, what does it matter?
Because only on here you get the best.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We're talking to Steve Trout
You
about
like
whether or
that?
not he feels like a Jedi, how he lost.
Do you like that? Do you like that? It's great audio quality, but they don't say anything interesting. I mean, cool. Crystal clear audio though.
I fan out on the baseball team the hardest. I love that team. Shout
No,
out.
but so the editor followed me. So now when I have complaints, I can just DM him directly instead of having to going through the grapevine, text Krantz, and then Krantz texts them, and then it's like, oh, actually, I can't do anything. I'm just a faculty advisor. Well, get an editor. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
Straight up.
yeah,
Hey, people hit me up all the time still about the Star, and I'm like, I don't have anything to do with
oh
that.
yeah. By the way, that's good. Good. No, great segue. Don't text me or call me or DM me about the paper anymore. I'm out 5 years. Okay, I don't care.
Thank you. Yeah,
I don't care.
I ran that thing in 2019 and 2020. That's it.
Jacob doesn't care. We're good.
I don't care. I got my stuff.
We listen to the pod. We listen to the pod. We respect them. They got really good audio equipment. Okay.
Best audio equipment in the world.
Best audio equipment in the world. Okay.
That's what they're doing with my donor money over there.
We don't need you. If there's an issue with this podcast, let me know it. Let Jacob know. We'll fix it. We'll correct it.
Show up to my jiu-jitsu gym if there's an issue with this podcast, and we'll take care of it on the mats.
Their content, we do not care about. Guest content, I do not care about. Do not text me about any of these. Colton, if Colton writes something in this paper, I don't have a subscription. I love Colton. I can't help you.
I actually do have a subscription now, but through work. Shout out, Ken's 5.
Yeah, no. Radio's not paying for a newspaper subscription.
Yeah. I got the Express too, so I can read Kev's stuff.
Don't text me about any stuff. Don't DM me about any stuff. If there's an issue, screenshot it, send it to me if you're here to gossip and chit chat like little schoolgirls. But I have no control over anything, so don't talk to me.
Dude, you know what I don't like though? Is that like you and I had dreams of doing this like professionally, semi-professionally.
You had dreams.
Whatever we call this, you know what I'm saying? And like people us, yeah, but also like you're supposed to persevere through like the talking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like people need to talk to them so they get that same thing.
I
need to be a filter of this. You're filtering your comments by talking to us.
Every podcast that we do, it's 2v1. You think that makes me a stronger person? Of course it does. Mm-hmm. Battle them up.
You should have seen this guy at our Super Bowl party the other day. This guy was getting dunked on left and right. Women, children coming into the Super Bowl. A landscaper, an Amazon driver at one point insulted Andrew. It was insane.
Did I deserve it? No. I did nothing.
Was uncalled for.
Uncalled for. Yeah. Uncalled for. All right. Thanks for squaring, everybody.
Love you. Love you lots. Trouty, seriously, I love you.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Super single pod, by the way. Super single pod.
I'm still rolling. I'm capturing this.
Super single pod.
Super single pod? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
That's what I'm saying. Super single pod.
Us.
Yeah. You're
breaking up with me? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, 100%. Do not assume that we are together. This is
Wow. There goes my Friday night reservation, I guess.
Yeah. I don't want cheesecake.
Trying to spoil you.
And I don't want you feeding it to me.
Thanks for squaring.
Stop sending me those edible arrangements.
The edible boxers of mine.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.